Toastmaster, yes, and Toastmasters. The ability to communicate our ideas in a clear, concise, and convincing manner is one of the skills that every speaker strives to achieve. And unless our words are colored by emotion, power, feeling, modulation, they are meaningless. And one of the finest ways to acquire that skill of putting power and feeling and emotion into our speeches is to watch, listen to famous speakers. And as we go back through the pages of history, they are filled with speakers who were masters of a platform. And I've selected a couple of those speakers, and I want to share with you a quotation or a line from their famous speeches, and to show you the power of speech. These speakers could move an audience, and they could bring their listeners to their point of view through their ability to communicate effectively and by powering their speech with feeling, emotion. One of my favorite, and the way we do it is to listen to these speakers, to watch them. And many of the famous speakers, we do not have recordings of them. But over the years, I have collected recordings of our current day speakers, and I listened to them, and I was able to emulate them in ways that I hope make my speeches effective. One of the famous speeches from way back in history, of which we don't have a recording, is President Lincoln's farewell to Springfield. When he was elected president, and he was leaving his family, friends, and homeland forever to go to Washington to serve as president. And that speech is filled with feeling and emotion, sadness, and anticipation. But one of our current day speakers, who was not noted for a public speaker because of his military career, but after his military career, he went about the country speaking, and he was an outstanding public speaker. His voice lifted the audience. His message, his pauses, his inflections just moved the audience. Anyone know who I'm talking about other than her?
MacArthur.
No, it was who?
Douglas MacArthur.
Douglas MacArthur. And when he was relieved of his command in Korea, he came back, and the Congress invited him to address a joint session. And that was a powerful speech. And in that session, he was very, very conciliatory, but you could tell he was, if I may use a slang message, he was ticked off at the president. And the issue was, in Korea, he wanted to go across the Yalu River, the northern boundary of Korea, into China and blast them, bomb them, their supply line. The president would not let him, and because of that, he relieved him of his command. And this line in the speech tells it all. He said, "Why?" And then there was a pause. "My soldiers ask of me, surrender military advantages to an enemy in the field?" And another pause. And then in a low voice, "I could not answer." And that was one of the 32 standing ovations that he received during that speech. And another excellent speaker was President Roosevelt. He was a master on the platform. And we don't have, yes, I have a recording of it, but his first inauguration speech, when the country was in the depths of the 1930s Depression, and he was explaining his plan as to how he was going to bring the country out of it. He said, "The only thing we have to fear," in his New England accent, "the only thing we have to fear is fear itself." Remember that? A very, very powerful message. And then, when he was asking Congress for a declaration of war in 1941, declaration of war against Japan, he ended his speech after he had told the country why we had to go to war and asking for their support. He told the country in these words, "We will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God." And it was a pause that made all of these lines very effective. And if any of you want to listen to them, I have recordings of many of those speeches. But it is a lesson for us as platform speakers that we should put emotion, feeling, modulation, inflection into our speeches, because that is the way we bring the audience and raise them and bring them to our point of view. It is how we put power in our speech. And that is my story, and I'm sticking with it.